before we begin, today is a slightly special occasion, I guess. So I need to go grab something. Just bear with me 1 second.
He just brings, like, Carl's head on a platter.
Brandy Dragon. Brandy Dragon comes out for special occasions.
But only you get a drink. I'll see how it is.
You're welcome to come over and have some brandy. Cheers. Welcome to the Fact Bar, a Fact Fiend companion mini-series. I'm the host for today, Brad, and I'm joined by Lucas and Nisha. This is a very special episode, and we'll explain why towards the end. But first, we have to get into the fact discussion for today. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to open with a story, rather than introducing the fact straight away. And the story involves a woman in the US in 2015. She was arrested for having a blood alcohol level over 4 times the legal limit.
Oof.
Yep.
A bit drunk.
Okay.
So arrested, and obviously, because she's massively over the limit, she was taken to court. But the case was dismissed. Why?
Was she trying to, like, escape someone that was force-feeding her alcohol?
Nope, that is not true. If I told you that she consumed no alcohol, what would your theory be then?
She didn't know how much mouthwash to use.
Nisha, any ideas?
I'm just thinking, like, is she covered in it? I don't know.
No. Covered in it?
Yeah,
Well,
I don't know. Someone just spilled all their
splashed on
alcohol on her.
No, so what we're talking about today is a condition, a medical condition, that is called autobrewery syndrome, or gut fermentation syndrome.
She gets drunk inside of herself.
People who are able to brew alcohol within their own bodies. The thing about the Fact Bar is that we tend to use a single fact to do as a prompt to jump off of. So I didn't actually look too deep into this. I was going to save this for a fact-fiend video, and I might actually cover it at some point in the future, like learn the intricacies of it. But all I can tell you is that it's a condition that is basically you have too much yeast in your intestines, and this yeast ferments if you eat food that's too high in carbohydrates, and it turns into alcohol. So there's a lot of questions about this, and it's just like, does it mean you have? That's the thing. Does she have a really high tolerance for alcohol, or is it just that the alcohol is brewed in a place that doesn't affect her in the way that she can test positive for having drank alcohol, but not in a way where it'll actually get into her bloodstream or affect her in that way?
Because it's like, when people say that they have, like, you know, higher limits on the amount of alcohol they can drink, that's not technically true. You're not technically less drunk. It's just that you get more used to being inebriated. So therefore you're a better drunk. You always get affected the same amount, but you're just better at coping with it. So, like, I wonder if that's the case of, like, they've spent their entire life technically getting drunk. So they're, like, just, you know, master level drunksmen.
So they're just so used to it. She's actually drunk, or they're actually drunk, but because their body's so used to just making alcohol, making them drunk so many times that the body's just trained.
Is it one of those of, like, yeah, it's so far into their intestinal system that, like, it doesn't actually get them drunk?
But then it still gets expelled in the CO2 that they breathe out.
But that doesn't mean it's in your bloodstream.
Well,
obviously.
that's
like,
where the CO2 comes from, because it gets transported through the circulatory system back to the respiratory system, and then processed through into the CO2 that you breathe out. Like that, the CO2 comes from the food you eat. Well, the carbon does at least. Whenever you breathe out, you're breathing out carbon dioxide, and obviously the oxygen is something that came in through breathing in as well. But where does the carbon come from? The carbon comes from the food. So when you breathe out, you're breathing out your Big Mac. You're breathing out your Pepsi.
My minstrels.
Your minstrels, yeah.
My minstrels.
So that's why exercise makes you lose weight. 'Cause it's not that you, like, you know, use more energy. It's just that you breathe more.
Well, yeah. So
you just push more out.
Yeah, the
right?
fat that's in your body has to be converted into the energy, and one of the byproducts of that, I imagine, is the carbon that gets breathed out. So
No conversion.
Just breathe
for
fast.
anything. I'm just breathing it back out.
the ultimate
That's
weight
all it
loss.
is.
Just burning calories. Out of interest, what kind of drunk do you guys think you are?
Depends what I drink.
Like, well, I mean, does that actually have an effect,
Well,
or is that a psychological thing?
I tend to avoid vodka because The last few times I've been drunk on vodka, I get right sad, like really, really sad. The many times I've been drunk since, I've not been sad. I've not like cried because I cry when I've had vodka. But I don't do it on any other. I don't do it.
You
on
have the wrong vodka, I think.
Like the idea that just like we could just put a bottle of vodka underneath Nisha's nose and just tears start swelling up. Like, no, it's not the vodka.
I mean, that's a good point though. Is it actually a thing, or is it? Was I just really sad when I drank it? But
I know that
coincidental.
I know that there's apparently 2 types of high that you can get from weed. Like there's, I think there's 2 different ways it can affect you depending on what the strain is. So I won't be surprised if maybe there's something to do with the fermentation process in alcohol, which then affects how it affects you. But I don't like. I've always been a bit skeptical when someone says, "Oh, I always get really drunk from this one thing, but never get drunk from this other thing." But then I've experienced it myself. Like white wine tends to get me drunker faster than any other thing. But is that just me being like, maybe I drink it faster? Maybe it's because I don't know.
Wine is
maybe
lethal.
it's like confirmation bias of like because you believe it, you feel it more.
Yeah, maybe. Like you were saying that people get more used to alcohol. It's not that your tolerance is higher. It's that your ability to act under the effects are higher. Maybe my psychological bias like against white wine makes me drunker when I have white wine.
I've heard those stories where people drink certain alcohol and it makes them like aggressive or something. I can't remember where I've heard that. Like they drink
But again, like
prosecco or something. Like makes them want to fight, like violent. I think my mum said it. Like I can't remember what it was. Some sort of wine made her violent or something. Like in the olden days.
Though, is, like, I used to get aggressive sometimes when I drank, but I think that was an attitude problem and not an alcohol problem. Like it just made me more willing to actually like fucking end up in a fight.
So what kind of drunk are you then, Lucas, like nowadays?
I think nowadays I'm more just like maybe like a contemplative drunk. Maybe I'm like that guy at 2 o'clock in the morning at like in a lockdown and just being like, you know what? Like, what if we just lose all of our food by breathing?
I'm gonna have to double check that when I edit this because I'm pretty sure it's true. But whenever like the thing is, because we're now filming FatFin videos, which we're gonna get on to talk about in a little bit. But because we're now all filming FatFin videos, one of the things that I think that we need to learn how to do is be very confident when we say things, because people are more likely to trust an opinion or a fact coming from somebody if they're very confident about it. So I said all of that with the most confidence. And now that after the bit's finished, when you guys are talking, my brain's like, are you misremembering that fact?
We're acting as like the real-time comment section telling you you're wrong.
Well, no, you guys haven't questioned it. I'm doing it. My brain is the comment section. Like, compared to a lot of people I know, I think I'm pretty decent drunk. Like, until I get really drunk, if I'm just at tipsy towards, like, I feel like I don't act too stupid. My balance is usually very good for somebody who's had a lot. Like, so what I do instead is I move through clubs. Like, if I topple, I then spin around and get my balance back in a certain, like, you know, I look really cool. At least I think that. I don't know what it looks like to sober people.
What we're saying is we need to build Brad a drunken obstacle course to show off his skills.
Yes. I always thought, like, if I ever got caught driving after having drink, obviously nobody ever do that. If you do that, you're a fucking tit. But if I ever got caught drink driving and they were like stand on one leg, I could probably do that. Like my balance isn't affected hugely, unless, like I said, like there's a point.
But at the same
where
time, this is why they have a breathalyzer test.
Yeah, but then I could just be like, oh, I've got this auto brewery syndrome, and it makes me.
And then they just smell your breath, and it's like that ain't auto, mate.
Nah, it's auto. It's auto all the way up.
When I'm not sad from drinking vodka, I'm usually quite a dancey drunk. Like I dance a lot and sing because I usually sound really hoarse the next morning. I'm just like, I've had a good night.
Really hoarse.
Yeah, I sing and dance a lot. I'm just quite loud because I'm opposite to what I'm like sober. I'm usually a quiet person.
The thing is, it's funny because you say you're loud, and I think like loud drunk Nisha is probably less loud than I am on a regular day.
It's loud for me. I talk to everyone, whereas usually I'm quite shy, so...
When I'm out having fun, I tend to be quite over the top sometimes anyway, so it's often quite hard to tell if the alcohol's affecting me because I'm already being a bit flamboyant. Yeah, there's definitely a line I cross when, like, You know, like, because my brain's able to go, you've had too much. And I can, because I often avoid the hangovers by slowing down on my drink before the end of the night. Because unlike a lot of people that I know, I'm fully aware of when I should stop drinking, regardless of how much I've drunk. And it's very rare that I'll go past that point and end up being sick. Because...
Yeah, the last few years, it's been, like, a very, like, lack of getting to that level of, like, I can't control myself and I'm going to go home and be sick drunk. Like, I think as you just get older, you just learn your limits better, obviously.
Yeah. So I said at the start of this that it was a special kind of episode. The reason it's special is because it may very well be the last fact bar.
It's special because we're murdering it.
It's special because it's the end. The special is the time we had along the way. Yeah, so anyone who watches Fat Fiend, obviously most people who watch the side channel are likely Fat Fiend fans. With Carl wanting to take more of a break, we've all stepped up now as hosts. And part of that responsibility is doing research and presenting facts, which means that the fact bar, which was meant to be the editor's opportunity to share some cool facts that they found out, is now a bit redundant because we're now...
It's exactly what we're doing.
Yeah,
on Fat Fiend.
we're already doing that. So what we're thinking of doing is retiring the fact bar as it exists now.
And I will clarify as well, that's kind of in general just why you've seen a bit less content on the side channel as of late. Is just because, like, oh, hey, guess what? Like, we're now stepping up our amount of responsibilities on another channel, so, like, it's been harder.
Yeah, we also tried to do some changes to the way Fat Fiend works, and it just didn't work. This is the thing that I always say, when people say, why do you change this, why do you change that? There's a very fine balance on YouTube between changing things to try and fit new trends, but keeping the people who do watch happy. And we, many times, have strafed that line. And recently we tried to do something different, which was shorter videos for more days. And combined with, I think, Carl taking his break as well, people just weren't that interested. So, anyone who makes videos out there, you've got to be very careful how you change your format.
The thing is, though, you can't always predict how stuff's going to go as well, so you have to take risks.
No.
Predictability on YouTube, Nisha. You must be having a laugh.
You can barely predict anything.
Exactly.
But yeah, no. So the fat bar, the fat bar is going to be retired in this state. But like, we probably will do something similar, and it'll likely just be a variation. But we can't really call it a Fat Fiend companion miniseries if it's not going to be us being spun off from Fat Fiend to do something separate. So what we're probably
so these three rectangles may return, is what we're saying.
These three rectangles in I picked a red background because I wanted to not clash with anyone else. And
I'm not gonna lie, the last stream I did was Resident Evil 2, and I just put a red background, and I was just like turned my lights on today, and was like, I guess we're going red today. Because
usually I always pick the blue ones, but then Nisha's got blue, so I usually pick red because you usually have like a multicolored one, so at least mine's different.
Right, fine, I'll change.
You don't need. It's too late now.
I fucking
at the end of the video.
It's never too late, Brad.
Well, look at this fucking setup. Like, so Lucas is recording through a DSLR, whereas Nisha and I are both recording through high quality webcams. He's got like decorations behind him with different coloured strobe lights and shit. You can change from a controller in front of him. He's got a set of pink headphones with ears.
I also have these headphones in purple in case I want to change out the ears.
Is that a lightsaber behind you?
Yes, yeah.
And then Nisha and I with our fucking blankets.
I have a galaxy. What are you on about?
You've got the whole
Nisha
universe.
has an entire galaxy. I've got a couple of games consoles.
Exactly.
I've got a beautiful sunset, which I didn't realise when I ordered it. This isn't an angle. This is printed like this. It's a circle that's in like this shape because whoever
squashed.
I obviously bought it from somebody who just took a picture and prints them onto bits of fabric. So I've just got overly shaped. It really bugs me. It really bothers me. Anyway, let's close this off. We've been recording for a decent amount of time. So if you enjoyed the fact bar and you want to see this sort of thing continue, then let us know.
Well, if you want it to continue, go and watch Fat Fiend. We're doing the same
thing.
Yeah,
pretty much what you said. But yeah, obviously the side channel, like we're always coming up with new ideas, and I enjoy the dynamic that the three of us have, because it's very different when you have like all four of us. It's a very different dynamic to just three of us or just two of us, and we all have our own individual dynamics. Like, I didn't realize until me and you, Lucas, we were recording in person more, that our dynamic is just taking the piss out of each other.
I mean, apparently so.
Wind each other up.
my dynamic with Nisha is that I just yell at her a lot. So like whenever I watch the videos about me and Nisha, it's just her saying to me, going, "Nisha, you're ruining my video."
So why are you laughing, Nisha? Like,
you know, one day Nisha's just gonna kill you.
Thank you for watching the fact bar.